Hello, my friends. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone is well. As we get into spring a little more and we're in the month of May, we're going to talk a little bit more about plants, different kinds of plants, planting plants. So today I thought we'd talk about types of plants. Okay, we're going to see how plants grow and where they grow. Micah and Sasha hike in the forest. They see many different plants. Now they're walking through the forest. They're going to see a lot of different plants. They see plants growing up from the ground and on trees. And there are plants growing on rocks. And there are even plants growing in the pond. Sasha points to these plants and says, these plants do not look the same. Plants are different and plants grow in different ways. So you've got plants growing on the water, you've got plants growing up a tree, you've got plants growing from the ground. So Sasha points to a plant that's growing up from the ground. And what kind of plant is this? It grows up from the ground. So these are plants you might see, you might plant outside at your own home. So you have some dirt, okay? And they grow up. I don't have a flower because nothing is blooming right now and I don't want to ruin the tulips, but you could have some plant like a daisy that grows up from the ground. Okay, so you see the dirt, and now it's growing up. So you have a big flower growing up from the ground, from the dirt. That's a really big flower, so that is a daisy. It grows up from the ground. Many plants grow up from the ground that way, and that's probably what you're used to seeing around. Plants that grow up from the ground. But then Sasha points to a plant growing up a tree and said, what kind of plant grows up from a tree? So there's plants that grow up trees. Okay, and I don't have any ivy, but outside we found this. So the plant wraps around the tree. See, I've got this stick, and the plant will grow up the tree like this and wrap around it. You see it? That's plants that grow up trees are like ivy, something like ivy. And you might see that a lot on people might put it growing up their mailbox. They put it growing up the side of the houses, and the plants go up and around the trees. So a plant like ivy grows up and around the tree. Some plants grow. So just a little thing, the ivy that climbs up, it climbs up towards the sunlight. Okay, so it climbs up the tree to reach the sunlight. So if you see these, some of these grow quite high. They're way up buildings and up the trees. The next plant that we're going to talk about is a plant on a rock. Okay, there's a plant that grows on a rock. And Sasha says, what kind of plant is that? Okay, so I have a rock here. And there's a plant growing on it. Can you see? It's kind of hard because this is moss. It's different from most plants, and moss grows on trees and rocks. Can you see it? It's green. It looks like a bunch of dirt with just a little bit of grass. Okay. That's moss, and it's kind of soft, and it grows on the rocks and on trees. I got dirt all over us. Sasha points to a plant in the pond and says, what kind of plant is that? That grows in water. Now you may see lily pads, a water lily. They grow in the water. I don't have water lily, but you might see them growing in the water like this. Let's bring this down so you can see it. See the lily in the water. Okay, it grows on top of the water. And that's a water lily. It grows and floats in water. It has a stem that goes to the bottom of the pond. Wow, I didn't know plants were so different, says Sasha. Yes, says Micah. They all grow in different ways. So like we talked about, the first plant was the daisy, and the daisy grows in the ground, in dirt. And the bottom of the daisy will also have I'm sorry, something's in my throat. It grows up from the ground, the daisy, the first one we talked about, and it also has roots. So if you pull grass up or some flowers, you'll see the roots. See all the little squiggly things, those are the roots of the plant. And that's what's in the ground and under the ground. So that was plant number one. Then we talked about how plants grow around the tree. So this is plant number two. Grows around the tree up towards the sun. That's ivy. Plant number three was the moss that grew on the rock. Okay, the grassy stuff that grows on rocks and on trees. And then another way we saw plants grow was in the water, like a water lily. Okay, again, I didn't have a water lily. I'm just showing you the flower on top. And this also has roots. So the roots would come, it would come from the water up to the top, and then the lily would be on top. Okay, so it would look something like that. Okay, so you got the roots on the bottom in the water, and the lily would be on the top. So we have 4 different ways plants can grow, but they all grow very different. So I hope you like that lesson. If you have a chance and you want to go outside, you can see if you can find one growing up from the ground, one growing up a tree, one piece of moss growing on a rock or on the side of a tree, and see if you can find some kind of a water lily or something that might be growing in a pond. Have a great day, stay safe, and be well. Bye.